Blackout. The first German district blackout simulation. 400 dead in 96 hours. Hey everybody, this is Venomous. Germany's municipalities are getting serious in preparing for the concrete consequences of a widespread power blackout. Some German name I can't pronounce district is the first of 401 German districts and urban districts that have a specialist company in Berlin examine and simulate what threatens in the event of a blackout in order to be prepared for the increasingly likely eventuality. After 24 hours, livestock would die, substations would fail, and water tanks would run dry. Then there would be looting, fires, and economic damage in the hundreds of millions. Unlike Federal Ministers of Economics Robert Habeck, District Fire Inspector Christian Russell currently considers the risk of a blackout to be much more likely than a lack of gas, which would not have such dramatic consequences even if one were not preparing for it. Authorities admit danger is real. The blackout widespread power failure is sadly no longer a horror fairy tale of sinister conspiracy theorists, as authorities now consider the danger to be real, but conceal the fact that it is homemade and a consequence of their own catastrophe policies. Hey guys, the conspiracy theorists are right again. Is there any shock though? There's been enough predictive programming and the fact that they've been hitting us with the terminology dark winter for the last couple years.
The summer, we're about to go into a dark winter that we've seen in December as we head into a very dark winter ahead. The country is still in a crisis and there's a dark winter still ahead. We remain in a very dark winter.
Now, even though Biden's referring to the coronavirus here, many of us conspiracy theorists know that this harkens back to the 2001 tabletop exercise known as Dark Winter, hosted by the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. The game consisted of a weaponized smallpox virus that was unleashed on the US, and let's just say it didn't go well. However, since Biden unleashed the DW, it's been part of the regular lexicon for media outlets, but referring to actual winter, which leads me to believe that they are preparing us for a winter where the lights go out, where we have no power. A dark winter. Just think the Texas freeze of 2021 on a level we've never seen before. Gerd Landsberg told German weekly Welt AM Sonntag that realistic scenarios are both hacker attacks and an overload of the power grid. Every citizen must be aware of what happens when there is no electricity. Then there is no water. You can't fill up. After 2 days you can't charge your cell phone. We are in no way prepared for such a scenario. The blackout would only be a particularly drastic scenario. Less drastic scenarios such as electricity or gas shortages have long been casting their shadows. The livelihoods of social institutions and services are threatened to an unprecedented extent. Finally, in the event of widespread power failure, nothing works anymore. Internet, landline telephone, and heating systems would fail first, followed closely by mobile communications and digital radio. Gas stations would run out of petrol, electronic money and payment systems would fail, food could no longer be cooled. All of these scenarios show a country that is on the brink of complete collapse in an emergency due to ideology-driven politics and decades of neglect of important infrastructure. Which takes us back to the whole Biden infrastructure bill. The US has a bunch of old infrastructure, outdated, ready to be torn down to build back better. Lastly, I want to touch briefly on an article put out by the UK today. Thousands will die and millions will suffer from humanitarian crisis of fuel poverty in UK, warn experts. Now they just talk about how it's too cold because the people can't afford fuel to warm their houses and how this will affect children mainly in their development and stuff. So, I mean, it's terrible. I just wanted to point out the opening line here. Epidemic levels of fuel poverty. Now notice that. What does epidemic mean in the dictionary? Well, a widespread occurrence of infection, disease, in a community of a particular time. Outbreak. Yet they used it to describe the fuel situation in the UK. I find that a little interesting. Since 2020 hit, all meaning of words went out the window, and they just mixed things with other things, and now it makes no sense. But that's all on purpose. It's just all about confusion, inversion, conflation. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. I hope you folks are doing well. Please make sure to have some sort of backup energy source, generator, whatnot, because you never know what's going to happen. Whether it's fear-mongering or it's really going down, you want to be prepared regardless. That's the main point here. With that said, this is Venomous reporting for the Brave New World, and I'll catch you all next time.
you talking to me? Talking to me? Are you talking to me? No way, Paul.